it's also good to reward those who are seen to be doing good. And when you prevent something, it just doesn't happen. And so you can't really take credit for it, right? You can't point to it and say, well, I suppose with the kids that would be somewhat easier, but generally that's a problem on the prevention front, right? Yes.
Well, but you can't see it once it's happened. So you're absolutely right. But just to give you a sense of proportion, so we estimate this will cost about $4.9 billion a year. That's not nothing, but it's a very, very small, as we talked about, rounding error. Most of, a large part of this cost is actually women's time because we need to get them into hospitals. So it'll take more of their time. So the real financial cost is about $2.8 billion. But the benefits are, and these are just mind-blowingly big, it means that we could avoid 161,000 women dying every year. 161,000 women dying in childbirth. We could avoid 1.2 million kids dying.
So that's all those fragmented families. That's all those kids who lose their mothers. That's like it's not just 161,000 deaths. I mean, there's a cascade of terrible problems that emerge from that. So those are young women who are in the prime of their life, mostly speaking. So a large number of them are going to have other kids, and so those kids are going to be left bereft of their mother. And of course, then there's the family breakup that comes along with the fact that the young woman has died and the tremendous grief of the parents. I mean, so that's a cataclysm that's going to involve millions of people, not the mere 160,000. And so, and that can all be prevented.
So we're basically saying for $1, you could develop, and this, of course, is where economists come across as crude because we actually put a value of saving a human life. This is a very long conversation about how you do that, but we do that constantly in human societies. We decide whether we put in a roundabout or not. A roundabout will save people, but it also costs money and it also slows down traffic. So how much do we want to do that? We make those decisions all the time.
Well, that's always that prioritization.
Yes, and so we simply make that decision explicit, and we take all the costs, all the benefits. It turns out for every dollar you spend, you will do $87 of social good in the developing world. Why aren't we doing this? Yeah. This would be incredibly cheap. It would do an amazing amount of good. That's just one. That's just the first of the 12.
And have projects that of the sort that you envision that are precisely targeted to this problem, where have they begun to manifest themselves already? There must be countries that are walking down this road already. I know we have hospitals in the West, obviously, but I'm wondering specifically, after your team has highlighted the fact that this is a possibility and has this economic benefit, are there jurisdictions that have taken up the challenge?
I haven't seen that strongly. I mean, so clearly in most policy areas, they will say, oh, and we should also do good for women that give birth. They also vote, so you also want to make sure that they will vote for you. So it's also one of the things that you talk about. I think so we're just coming out with this research right now. So people still haven't heard about it, but I think fundamentally what we're trying to do is to set the agenda so that people will actually see, oh, these 12 things are really, really good. I want to ask that of my politician if you live in the poor part of the world. I want to ask that of my development agency. I want to ask that of my rich politician. Why aren't we doing this? To do this. So we're simply, I'm fundamentally, I'm a very optimistic person, but I don't expect that we're just sort of, going to make the whole world right. What we tend to say is that we're simply putting forth these 12 amazing ideas, and hopefully by putting those out, we'll at least get, 6 of them done. Right. Well, and that would be an amazing opportunity. Yes, that would be an amazing. Well,
and you got to not be cynical. I mean, the fact is, it's not been a straightforward matter for people, all of us, to sort out the panoply of problems that confront us. And 169 goals isn't 10,000. It's, it's already restricted to some degree. Restricting that further has there's all sorts of political and conceptual difficulties. And then it's also useful to understand that,
In this fascinating discussion between Jordan Peterson and Bjorn Lomborg, they explore the complexities of prioritizing global issues and the challenges that arise when attempting to tackle them. It's akin to juggling 100 balls in the air, each representing a different problem, while also trying to discern which of them are the most urgent and pressing. Peterson brings attention to the idea of prevention and how it's difficult to give credit for problems that never occurred, much like a gardener who preemptively saves a plant from disease, but no one sees the potential disaster that was averted. Lomborg emphasizes the importance of looking at the bigger picture and understanding the cascading effects of solving certain issues. He uses the example of investing in better maternal care, which would not only save the lives of countless women and children, but also prevent the ripple effects of broken families and communities left to suffer. The conversation takes it towards the economic aspect of problem solving, and Lomborg highlights how a relatively small investment can lead to enormous benefits. It's like planting a single seed that grows into a bountiful tree, providing shade and sustenance for generations to come. He stresses the importance of understanding the value of saving human lives and making decisions based on these values, much like a builder deciding where to place a bridge or a roundabout to maximize both safety and efficiency. Peterson and Lomborg discuss the potential for certain projects and initiatives to take root in countries and jurisdictions that recognize the value of these evidence-based solutions. It's as if a gardener is sharing their knowledge of planting strategies with others, hoping that they will adopt these methods and cultivate flourishing gardens of their own. Lomborg acknowledges that change may not happen overnight, and that the goal is to at least set the agenda and spark conversations about these vital issues. He remains optimistic, like a patient gardener who nurtures their plants, knowing that growth and transformation take time. In the end, they agree that it's essential not to become cynical and recognize the importance of working together to address the myriad problems facing humanity, much like a community of gardeners working together to create a thriving and vibrant ecosystem. Can you tell I love gardening? As the dialogue between Peterson and Lomborg unfolds, they touch upon the importance of making well-informed decisions based on research and evidence. It's like using a map to navigate through a dense forest, where each piece of information helps guide you toward the best path. Lomborg emphasizes that by identifying the most effective solutions, we can better use our resources and focus our efforts where they will have the greatest impact. Peterson and Lomborg also discuss the role of public awareness and engagement in driving change. Just as a single drop of water can create a ripple in a pond, the spread of knowledge and understanding can inspire collective action. By informing people about the most pressing issues and the potential solutions, we can empower them not to demand change from their leaders, empower them to demand change from their leaders and take personal responsibility for their actions. In this captivating conversation, Peterson and Lomborg explore the challenges of working within complex systems and the necessity of collaboration to address these issues. It's like assembling a puzzle with thousands of pieces, where each individual must contribute their unique perspective and expertise to create a coherent picture. They also touch on the importance of perseverance and resilience in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. As Peterson and Lomborg discuss their incremental progress that can be made by implementing evidence-based solutions, it's reminiscent of a gardener meticulously tending to their plants, understanding that growth and change are often slow and painstaking. The discussion between Peterson and Lomborg highlights the need for a balance between optimism and pragmatism when confronting the world's most pressing problems, just as a gardener must nurture their plants while simultaneously defending them against pests and diseases. We must recognize both and potential for growth and the challenges that lie ahead. As the conversation between Peterson and Lomborg continues to evolve, they delve into the significance of adapting new information and remaining open to change. Much like a tree that bends with the wind to avoid breaking, we must be flexible in our approach to problem solving and be willing to alter our strategies when presented with new evidence. Peterson and Lomborg also discuss the importance of cultivating a sense of curiosity and wonder in the face of adversity. Like a child exploring a garden for the first time, it's essential to approach the world's challenges with an open mind and willingness to learn from our experiences. This mindset fosters creativity and innovation, enabling us to develop novel solutions to the most pressing issues. Throughout the dialogue, the theme of interconnectedness emerges, underscoring the idea that no problem exists in isolation. Just as the health of a single plant depends on the overall health of the garden, the well-being of the individuals and communities is inextricably linked to the well-being of the entire planet. Peterson and Lomborg emphasize the importance of recognizing these connections and taking a holistic approach to problem solving. As they explore the potential for collaboration between diverse stakeholders, Peterson and Lomborg highlight the value of pooling resources, knowledge, and expertise to address complex challenges. Like a team of gardeners working together to cultivate a thriving ecosystem, it's crucial for governments, businesses, and individuals to join forces in the pursuit of common goals. The conversation between Peterson and Lomborg serves as a powerful reminder that progress is an ongoing process and that there is always room for improvement. Just as a gardener continually nurtures their plants and strives to create the most flourishing environment possible, we must remain committed to learning from our successes and failures, adjusting our strategies as needed, and working together to build a better world.